Welcome to our Energy Edge webinar, How to Sell Fuel Online, Adapting Your Business to the Online World. This webinar is geared to take approximately 40 minutes, as we know that your time is valuable. Once we have completed, we will open it up to a short Q&A section, so please hold your questions until then, or you can simply type them in on the right side of your screen and we will address them after the presentation. If you notice on the right side of your screen in the GoToMeeting box, about 3/4 of the way down, there's a small area marked chat. Feel free to just type your questions in there, and I'll keep track of all the questions, and John and I will stay on as long as necessary at the end of the presentation. Let me begin by introducing John Vrabel. John is a founding partner and the managing partner of Energy Edge, as well as our resident expert in business development, with a proven track record for building businesses that are rewarded by the marketplace. John?
Hey, thank you, Adrian, and good morning, everyone, and welcome to our coffee break webinar this morning. Adrian, just an audio check. How am I coming across this morning?
You sound great.
Okay, good. All right, so we're going to go ahead and get started. Those of you that have attended our webinars in the past know that they have a tendency to be pretty fast-paced and pretty fact-loaded as well, so this one will be no exception. This actually is an updated webinar. We used this one first time last week, actually. We were up in Maine at the Marketers Association, their spring conference, so we updated this particular presentation for them up there, and was received quite well, so hopefully you find it equally useful this morning. Matter of fact, we even have some updated information for you this morning on some performance metrics from this past heating season as we start to gather those. So that actually, this presentation hasn't even been updated to have those in, but I'll go ahead and give those to you when we get to that part of the presentation this morning. With that said, I would also encourage you to please, because we do go through this information so quickly, it has a tendency to generate questions from you. That's to be expected. So please do use the GoToMeeting panel and that chat box that's on there. Just type in your questions, and like Adrian said, we'll gladly stay on after the webinar is over and address any of those questions that you have. So with that, let's go ahead and jump right in. Our agenda for today is 4 topics. We're going to take a little look at our industry over the last 5 years. Actually, we take a look at the last 10 years, but certainly there have been changes that are more dramatic in the last 5 years. How it's changed, whether or not you're in the heating oil business, the propane business, the commercial fuels business, or some other way related to the energy industry. Certainly, we're seeing a lot of changes come toward us, and obviously we need to adapt to those. Our second agenda item is the role of e-commerce in the U.S. We'll give you some updated information on what's going on with people in the U.S. and how they're using the internet. And I would just ask the question: should you be involved with your business with the internet, and if so, how and what level of involvement should you have? We will also share with you 3 key learnings. This is experience that comes from our clients that are part of our Energy Engine network, to use our Energy Engine to conduct e-commerce and sell fuel online. So we'll share some information with you on that. And then finally, for those of you that are considering maybe selling fuel online, give you some guidelines in terms of really what does it take to be successful. So that's what we're going to cover this morning. So our first item is, how has our market changed? And as those of you that are kind of on the front lines of the industry day to day, you know that you're seeing changes in the industry coming at us pretty quickly. That graph that's up there is gallon volume for both heating oil and propane over the last 10 years. That's EIA data. That's actually residential volume too, so it's probably indicative of I would guess most of the companies that are on this morning's webinar. But you can see the blue line is a decline in heating oil gallons since 2003. And also the green line is propane. That comes as a surprise to some people because the industry often thinks of propane as kind of where the growth is. But the fact of the matter is that propane gallons are also in decline as well. Obviously not as extreme as heating oil gallons have been, but some of the same things are impacting the propane business. Things like greater equipment efficiency, if we're talking about using propane for heating homes and businesses. So there's less need because of the efficiency improvements. We also have better insulation in the envelope of the buildings, so that takes a little bit less as well. Where propane has not declined as much is the diverse use of propane. So you're getting the residential consumption of propane, for things like the hearth or the backyard or cooking or maybe a space heater in a garage, and power generation in the Northeast, certainly in some of the states in the Northeast where power outages have been plentiful the last number of years. Backup or standby generation powered by propane has been in high demand. So we're seeing some diverse uses of propane, hence not as steep a decline as we're seeing in heating oil. But the point is that, these declines, these market changes, this isn't anything that doesn't happen in any industry. I mean, there's a life cycle to products, to industries, and so forth. And matter of fact, if we look, back, maybe 70, 80 years, we saw some similar things taking place in the energy industry and in residentially delivered fuels. That coal truck that's pictured on this particular page is there for a reason, because many of the companies that today are some of the leaders in heating oil, have their roots back delivering coal or even firewood, a good number of decades ago, and they obviously adapted their business to the changes in the marketplace. And while it is somewhat of a daunting task to some of us, quite simply, in order for us to succeed, we need to continue to adapt our business to the changes in the marketplace. One of the questions, obviously, that we get, or we deal with a lot of times, is, should fuel companies be selling fuel online? So in order to help answer that question for many companies, we take a look at how the consumer is behaving, because ultimately it is your customers, or folks that would be considered being your customers, that are going to make the decision whether or not to do business with you. And they're going to make that decision based upon a variety of factors. And one of those factors is if they can do business with you the way that they want to do business with you. And that's kind of where the internet comes in. Today, virtually everyone is online in the U.S. How we use the internet, though, is very important. 83% of users do research online before they make a buying decision, before they make a purchase. 83%. So these are customers that are looking for the types of products and services that you are selling, that are going online. Hopefully they're finding a quality website, or hopefully they're able to find you, via their internet searches. And when they do find you, that you are providing the type of information that they want to see. The next point here, though, is after they do that research, 85% of the world's online population has used the internet to make a purchase. In the U.S. here, that number is about 80% of internet users purchase products online every year. So you have people online doing research online and then buying online. If we look at online sales, and we look at overall online internet sales, the key point to take away out of this is that online sales are growing faster than traditional retail sales, as people find it easy, convenient to purchase online. That graph that's on this particular page, just shows the growth and projected growth, projected continued growth in online retail sales, again outpacing traditional sales, and projected to continue to do that into the future. What drives these internet purchases, quite simply in one word, is convenience. And convenience manifests itself a variety of different ways to different customers. In some cases, it's the savings of time. I can go on the internet, when I want to. I don't have to travel to a store to make a purchase. In other cases, it's time related to I want to do it when I want to do it. I want to make that purchase at 11 o'clock at night, or I want to make that purchase at 3 o'clock on a Sunday afternoon when I realize that I need to have my heating oil tank filled. So time is certainly one of the driving convenience factors. Travel is another one. Transparency. One of the things that the internet has done for all industries, it's opened up transparency. It's made consumers more informed. It's given them access to information unlike they have had anywhere in our history. And that transparency comes in the types of services that are available to them, where they can get those services, the pricing for those services, and so forth. Transparency is something that is not going to go away, and we have to recognize that because it has some considerations, for our industry. Certainly not anything to be feared, but people will go to the internet for transparency. They can also get a larger selection. Certainly, in a I can go search on a particular product on the internet and find multiple searches or multiple results for that particular product, far beyond what I could find if I got in my car and drove around to stores looking for that same type of selection. And then finally, value. And value is important here, not necessarily price, because people don't necessarily just buy the lowest price online. Matter of fact, few people buy the lowest price online, just like they make that decision offline as well. Price is one of the considerations, but overall it's the value. It's the entire package that they're interested in when they make that purchase, although they certainly do expect a reasonable price online and are easily able to search on that. Who are these online shoppers? And this might be a little bit of a surprising slide for some of you. Certainly it was to the extent of some of these purchasing patterns when I first ran across this data now a couple of months ago. Baby boomers, of which I am one, spend more than twice as much online as consumers aged 18 to 22. We think about our kids or my kids, at my age, being doing everything online, and certainly they do. They don't get a newspaper delivered to their door in the morning. The number of magazines that they receive in paper copy are fewer. Many of them are reading them on their iPads and so forth. But yet baby boomers spend twice as much as that particular age group does. The second point here is baby boomers between the ages of 56 and 66 years old spend more money online when compared to all other generations. So they're the highest spenders online. And then finally, 70% of 45 to 55-year-olds have bought something online in the last 3 months alone. So they're spending more online, they're buying more frequently online. I thought this was particularly interesting for this particular webinar, because oftentimes, especially the heating oil companies, think of their consumers as older consumers and wonder out loud, will my customers buy online? Well, I think this slide shows pretty dramatically that that is the case, that they're already doing it. And certainly that's been our experience in the 12 years now that we've been actively involved in selling fuel online, is our internet buyers came from all segments of our population. Online fuel sales are also growing very rapidly. How fuel is being purchased is changing, and it's changing at a very, very rapid pace. On this slide, you'll see those select 2012 online benchmarks. So this was, these were numbers that compared 2012, the calendar year, to 2011. And you can see those numbers there. What I'd like to do this morning, though, is actually update those. This was just calculated. We are currently working on updated metrics based upon the heating season, now that we've wrapped up the official heating season at the end of March. So thanks to Adrian's help, we've been looking at a lot of information and data out of our network. And if you're interested in these numbers, you may want to take a pencil and paper and maybe jot some of these down, because you'll see some dramatic differences from even the numbers that are up here on the slide. If we look at same-store gallons, heating season, this past heating season, 2012-2013 heating season, so it would be, and the EIA defines the heating season as October 1st through March 31st of each year. And then we compare that to the heating season of the year before. The gallons, heating season online actually increased 274%. Now that's same store growth. So those are the same, those would be the same companies within our network that were selling this past heating season as had been selling the prior heating season. What's on the slide here was same store growth year over year, calendar year was up 64%. You can see that accelerated dramatically to 274% when we look at heating season to heating season. Surprised me when I saw that number that large. Orders, the order quantity increased by 283%. So similar, a little bit larger growth in terms of orders, which by definition then says that the drop size actually went down a little bit. You can see here on this slide that the average drop size was 198 gallons at the end of 2012. When we look at heating season to heating season, that average drop size was 195 gallons, and that was versus 201 gallons the year before. So we came down about 6 gallons in drop size, and I can tell you the reason why that happened was a direct result of many of our clients reducing their minimum order quantity from typically 150 gallons to 125 gallons, or in other cases even 100 gallons, charging more for that smaller delivery on a per gallon basis, but still allowing customers to buy smaller quantities as oil prices have gotten higher. So that's driven the drop size down just a little bit. However, still at that 195 gallons, the important information here is that's still about 42 gallons higher than the offline drop size. So your online deliveries, we're talking heating oil at this point, are much more efficient, significantly more efficient than the offline, which has tremendous positive impact in terms of your fleet efficiency and profitability of your fleet. Just a couple of other numbers that I ran through. Visits, we've seen one of the things that's driving this increased traffic is we're seeing more people searching online for the products and services that you're selling. Matter of fact, visits, heating season over heating season, we're up 170%. Our clients saw their unique visitors up over 200%, 219%. And here's a number that really stood out for me, because this really speaks to the quality of the traffic also that's coming to the sites, is organic search. Now, I'll explain that just a little bit. If you're looking at your analytics, and I'm sure some of you look at analytics for your existing websites, you really have 3 buckets that your search comes from. Search can come from direct search, where somebody types your URL, your web address, into a search field. Or it can come from referred search. So that might be somebody finding you through a directory or a service like yellowpages.com. And then the third bucket is organic search. What organic search is somebody types a keyword phrase into a Google search field, something like the best heating oil company in Boston, Massachusetts, or I'm looking for the best heating oil price in Syracuse, New York. Phrases like that. That's organic search. Organic search was actually up 271%. Again, heating season, this most recent heating season compared to the prior heating season. So we're seeing more people go online looking for the types of products and services that we offer within this industry, and that's good. Organic search, by the way, is also where you want to do your most work. That's your most quality search results. It's also your least expensive search results. because oftentimes the other search results come from other paid efforts that you're making. Organic search comes from organic search phrases based upon the way your site is structured, and there will be some cost to that with your search engine optimization, but not nearly the cost for other paid results. So good news there, certainly all around in terms of what's going on with fuel oil purchases on the internet. All right, so moving along. 3 key learnings that are promised that our clients are seeing, and certainly was our experience when we were also running businesses, running our own online businesses for a good number of years. The first one is embrace it, don't fear it. Embrace online, don't fear it. We'll drill down on that a little bit. E-commerce also lowers your operating costs while it also raises your margins, which is something that any business would love to do. So let's talk about how that works. And also the key learning is knowing what it takes to run an online business. One comment here before we get into this is it's not all about price. Oftentimes clients that we're working with will think that they need to be the lowest price. If they go online to sell, they need to have the lowest price in their market. That is not the case. If you think back to an earlier slide when I was talking about value, it really is very much about value. And this quote that is here is something that we heard, and certainly Adrienne, who ran customer service as one of her responsibilities, for us when we were selling online, and now our clients also are feeding back this same comment where I came for the price, but I stayed for the convenience. I came because your price is competitive, or you had what looked like a good price, but I really come back over and over and over again because it's so convenient to do business with you on the internet. So it's not all about price. Just want to make that comment to you. Okay, so our first key learning is embrace it, don't fear it. The fact of the matter is it's a big market out there. If we're talking about most companies in the fuel delivery business, fuel distribution business, whether or not it's a heating oil company or it's a propane company, and even if you're part of one of the larger propane companies, the regionals or the super regionals now, you still look at an individual location. Fact of the matter is most companies are serving less than 10% of their available market. So your market share is less than 10%, meaning that there's 90% or more customers that are buying the types of products that you're selling that are not buying them from you. So you have a huge opportunity. One of the things that we have seen, and certainly we learned ourselves when we were doing it ourselves, is e-commerce gives you a distinct competitive advantage, which allows you to acquire significant new customers when they can get the type of service like online from you compared to your competitors. There's also a huge opportunity. Let me just highlight this for you so this is clear. If we look at this pie chart over here, as best as we can tell today, there's still only somewhere around 9 to 12%, probably closer to 12% now of companies in the fuel business that actually offer on the ability to transact business online. I'm not talking about online bill payment. Online bill payment is more popular, and certainly it should be. But actually to do an Amazon-like transaction, if I can describe it that way, online. It's a vast minority of companies that are offering that service. So by definition, if you were to offer that service, you now have preferred service to the other 90% of your competitors, roughly. So it gives you a distinct competitive advantage as this marketplace continues to develop very quickly. The second point about embrace it, don't fear it, is many times companies have the fear that they're going to lose their full-service customers to online if they start to sell fuel online. The fact of the matter is that doesn't happen, and that fear is unwarranted. Matter of fact, we have a couple of case studies and loads of anecdotal information to support that. We don't have time in this particular webinar to drill down on that, but if that is of interest to you, I would encourage you to register for one of our other webinars that's titled Preserving Your Full Service Customers, while acquiring new online customers. And in that webinar, we spend more attention on this topic in particular, if that is a concern for you. Matter of fact, one of the other things that happens, all companies, or virtually all companies at any rate, certainly the industry at large, is losing the percentage of full-service customers that they're serving. More people are going to on-demand ordering. So companies are losing full-service customers on a regular basis. One of the things that our clients have pointed out when they add online to the service availability for their customers is that where they had previously been losing full-service customers maybe to a competitor, once they offered online, they were able to save many customers just by serving them in a different way, the way that the customer preferred to be serviced. So, so an observation there. And like I say, if you're interested more in terms of how full-service customers react, if you have an online offering, just register for that other webinar, and we'll take you through that particular experience by the numbers. All right. The next thing is lower your operating costs while also increasing your margins. Doing business with your customers online is less expensive than the way you're doing business with your customers offline. Matter of fact, the cost of handling an e-commerce order, or the fulfillment costs for fulfilling that order, are about 20% less than in the offline world. Where those savings come from are a number of different places, and I'm going to go through some of this pretty quickly. Big areas in delivery efficiency. It has 198. The updated number I gave to you for season over season was 195 gallons per average drop. Because that drop is so much larger than the typical 153 gallons for the industry as a whole, you increase a lot of efficiency with your fleet. In addition, you wind up, as you acquire more online customers, you wind up delivering to customers that you were previously driving right by. So you wind up with increased delivery density within your service territory, also increased gallons per driver, and increased gallons per vehicle. So what those two translate to ultimately, as far as financially, is your cost to deliver a gallon of fuel goes down. So when that gallon, as that delivery cost goes down, obviously your profitability goes up. Because you're also sharing your fleet, typically, and certainly we would encourage this in all cases, the exception that somebody would deliver their online orders on a separate fleet. But assuming you're using your same fleet, your delivery efficiency for your fleet also goes up for your traditional business as well, your core business. So now overall you have added profitability for the company because of that increase in fleet efficiency. Cash management is another savings as far as online. If you follow our recommendations and our default settings in terms of the system, all of your deliveries are prepaid. So what that means is you know that you're getting paid for that delivery. There will be zero bad debt, no bad debt in the business, again, as long as you follow our guidelines. And you're not picking up checks, or at least we would recommend that you do not sell by check or cash, so you're not chasing any bad checks. You're not making any redeliveries because somebody said that they were going to leave a check for you and nobody's home to pay, that sort of thing. As long as you're using an automated platform, and we'll talk a little bit about that in a second, there's no keying of credit cards. You don't have anyone sitting at a terminal punching in credit card numbers, or sitting at a terminal, or worse yet, because it's a longer process, issuing any manual account credits. All of that should be handled in the automated platform in real time as your customers are doing business, and there's savings that accrues from that. Administratively, of course, you have reduced customer care expense, because as long as your platform and your site is set up well, customers will self-serve. Matter of fact, they'll want to self-serve. So your process needs to be intuitive. You need to handle all of the nuances that exist in the fuel delivery business, so that the customers, your platform, the way you're transacting business meets their expectations, so that they're satisfied, and also on the cost side, so that they're not having to pick up the phone and call you, with questions or comments, or worse yet, be frustrated and just leave your site without placing an order and go someplace else. Finally, as far as savings marketing, a big part of the marketing tactics that we recommend for our clients is digital marketing or e-marketing, which, as any of you that are doing that, maybe for some of your core business know, is much less expensive than many of the traditional marketing techniques that we've talked about over the years. We'll talk a little bit more about that this morning, not much. Again, there's another webinar that we have that we built based upon questions from companies. That one's titled e-marketing for e-commerce, a marriage made in cyberspace. So, so if you want more information on that, we drill down on some of the e-marketing techniques, how effective they are, and their relative cost to traditional marketing as well. Okay, and then finally, in our 3 key learnings, what it takes to run an online business. It does take a commitment, okay, because it is a new business. It's different than you've been accustomed to running, so you need to give it the attention that it deserves. The good news is the attention that it requires doesn't mean that you have to hire a bunch of people. Oftentimes, the existing manager or owner of the business will run the online business as long as they can provide the commitment to it and devote the time to it. That's okay. But we also know that owners and managers get distracted with many of their other responsibilities. So many times we have clients where the online business, the person that's accountable for that online business on a day-to-day basis might be someone else in the organization. And certainly that's very possible. But I believe that it's still true today that of all of our clients, I do not believe there's one that has had to hire anyone to run the online business. Online integrates very well into your existing operations. And ultimately, in order to run the business, it takes less than a full-time person. So it's the types of activities that can be easily integrated with what you're already doing within the business. The second thing as far as running an online business successfully is please, please, please follow the roadmap. Knowing how to acquire customers, which tools to use in order to hire those customers or acquire those customers, is something that you really need to pay some attention to. And in terms of our clients and companies that we work with, we provide that guidance, very specifically. And we can see a big difference in performance results from the companies that follow the roadmap and those that don't. So we really do encourage you to follow the roadmap. We made a ton of mistakes over the years. We prefer that our clients not repeat those same mistakes, which is exactly why we provide you with the roadmap. And then finally, the last thing is avoid the rookie mistakes. Be consistent with your efforts against the business. Don't spend time with it this month and don't spend it and then ignore it next month. You need to be consistent. It is a new business. You need to give it the attention. You need to get this thing running. Over time, it does have a tendency to kind of run on its own, but over time, I might need several years down the road. Be consistent with getting this business running. Know how to set your business rules. The easiest way to say this is running an online business, or the way that people engage with you online, is different than traditionally. So you need to know how to set the business rules. Again, we help with all of that, but that online buyer just engages with you a little bit differently, and your system needs to be set up with those business rules to be able to accommodate the nuances of an online buyer, and also take advantage of some opportunities they get. And then finally, again, follow the roadmap. We put that as a rookie mistake, and we can call it rookie mistakes because we've made them all. So we've been there. We've done it. But if you follow the roadmap, we can see our clients outperform daily those that can deviate from the roadmap. And then putting it all together. You know, there are a couple of things that you need going into launching an e-commerce business. You do need a robust e-commerce platform. And the big reason for that is it needs to meet customer expectations in terms of the level of sophistication that that platform provides to the customers. It must be a fully automated platform. You know, the experience that customers get online today is a better experience than it was 5 years ago or 10 years ago. I reference Amazon a lot because they are the best as far as online sales, and they've continued to improve their product over the years as well. You know, fundamentally, the system needs to be fully automated. The customer expects that they can go on that line and register. You know, if they want to become a customer, that they can do that registration process easily. That once they're registered, they don't have to do it again. The next time they come to your site, we're in a consumable business, so you want that customer to come back, obviously, and when they come back, you want to make it as easy as possible for them to, in fact, do that. So you want them to, their registration to be in your database, and you want them to just be able to log in and do that. In fact, one of the projects Adrian's working on now is a mobile application for the Energy Engine. So clients can get their get pricing alerts or simply place an order on their smartphone by just a couple of clicks. Fully automated platforms are absolutely essential in today's e-commerce marketplace. And importantly, they need to be able to handle all the many nuances of the business. I mentioned this before, but Adrian within the Energy Engine has better than 100 different business rules that are set up at the time that our clients are set up and can be changed at any time. But those business rules are all business rules that are unique to our particular business, different than you know, shopping carts that you can add to your website to sell products and services. The fuel business is unique in many respects, as you know, especially if you're in the propane business, and we're talking about different types of tanks, tank configurations, customer-owned, company-owned tanks, and so forth. You need to be able to handle all of those nuances. The second thing that you need is you need a realistic business plan, and you know, whether you're working with us, you know, or you're working with someone else, you know, getting assistance in developing that business plan, knowing what to expect, how to set the targets, how many customers should you expect in your first year, or year 2, or year 3. What should your margins be? How many visits should you be getting to your website in order to get that many new customers? All those sort of things are parts of that plan that you should spend some time with. In our case, we provide a business planning template for our clients and kind of help them through that process based upon their particular market and the fuels that they're going to be selling online. So it's an important step as a boss of mine, and if some of you are attending this webinar based upon the our Energy Insights newsletter that went out yesterday, or actually I guess went out early this morning. I used this quote in there. I thought of it the other day. Was reminded by a boss of mine. He was fond of saying, if you don't know where you're going, any road will get you there. And it was his way of saying, hey, if you don't plan, your results will reflect that lack of a plan. You know, you won't know whether or not you did well, you arrived at where you wanted, you made as much money as you wanted, and so forth. So planning is important. It doesn't have to be an onerous process. We certainly make it as simple as we possibly can with our clients. And then finally, you need the resources to be able to make it happen. And that's primarily a person that is accountable for the business, you know, for your online business. In addition, it does require some modest resources in terms of investment, primarily for, you know, to get your platform set up, which is at least in our case is pretty minor, and then some devotion or dedication to some marketing as well to be able to drive the business. But again, e-marketing much less expensive than traditional marketing. All right, not going to spend a lot of time on this and go through all of these numbers. This slide is put up just to kind of show you part of the template that we use for business planning, business modeling with our clients. This particular plan is called 3% in 3 years. where we expect that our clients will be able to capture a market share of 3% with their online business alone in their first 3 years of being in that business. And this then goes on to project, based upon the inputs that the client uses, what that will mean in terms of how many customers the company will have over a period of time, how many gallons are done with those customers, and ultimately what your profit is. We talk about a return on investment, and in this particular case, and this is just an example of a particular market. This isn't any one in particular. These are just numbers that were put in here. But this kind of return is fairly consistent. In this particular case, in the first 3 years, we would expect this online business to return a net profit back to the corporation of $285,000 against an investment, and this line is really your investment, that your marketing and your system costs built into that of about $61,000. Over that 3-year period. So you're looking at a very, very attractive return on the investment. Also part of the planning process is the marketing plan. This is actually a summary of our marketing roadmap. The top, the larger box there, is actually our what we call the Vital 6, the 6 marketing tactics that are part of our marketing roadmap that we believe each one of our clients should be using religiously. And most of them are digital. I'm not going to go through all of these, and some of this may require, if you're not doing these already, these may not be clear to you. So again, if that's the case or you have additional interest, we could drill down deeper on these in our e-marketing webinar. But search engine optimization is fundamental. It's the foundation of your marketing plan. Pay-per-click, which is actually new to our Vital 6. That used to be down here in this lower box as one of the secondary 7, but based upon improved performance and results from pay-per-click, we've now moved it up into the Vital 6. Actually, what we dropped down to the secondary 7 was actually newspaper advertising, which is becoming less and less effective. Behavioral marketing is also digital. E-newsletters obviously are digital. Refer a friend, at least in our particular case, is completely automated digitally. It's a completely automated process. So 5 out of these 6 are e-marketing tactics. Very efficient, very affordable, and very, very good returns on the investment. The only traditional thing that's in here is some direct mail postcards, and those are done one of 2 ways with our clients. So just to kind of give you a flavor for some of the things that need to be done. The secondary 7, as we call them, are 7 other tactics that have proven to be very effective in some cases, or for some companies based upon how they're configured, but may not be effective in your particular case. So those are ones that we'd look at in conjunction with you, but may or may not make sense for you. All right, and then finally, one of the beautiful things about doing business online is virtually everything is measurable. We talked about visits to websites. This is a representation that comes right off of a client dashboard that tracks the number of visits going to the website. This is actually updated every day. This would be an actual number for the last 30-day period. It's automatically updated on that client site every day. In this particular case, for that period, it was 1,473 visits to the website. This line down here is actually targets, and this is a field that is input either by the client, or if the client wants us to do it, we'll do it. In this particular case, this client had a target to have 412 visitors to their particular website for their particular market area in order to make their numbers, and as you can see, they're exceeding that tremendously. Bounce rate is something that we also watch carefully. Bounces are people that or visitors that get to a website, land on one page, and don't interact with any other pages. So the presumption there is that they got to your site, they saw a page, it really wasn't what they were looking for, so they exited pretty quickly. So you want to keep that bounce under control. Unique visitors, similar. The difference between a visitor and a unique visitor is if I go to your website 10 times last month, I count as 10 visits. I'm only one unique visitor. So we also look at unique visitors as well. They're actually more important than visits as a whole. And the other thing that we look at is the percentage of old visits or the percentage of new visits. So we have old visits here, new visits here. For most of our clients, especially starting out, we want to see the percentage of new visits in the certainly better than 50%, ideally somewhere in the 70 to 80% range, so you're getting more new traffic to your site than you are existing customers. You want those existing customers coming, but you want to increase your traffic overall. You want to get more new people coming to the site, which is exactly how you acquire new customers. It all starts with the traffic. So we're at the point where we're at the 45-minute mark. So we're going to go ahead and wrap up the webinar this morning. In summary, from our experience certainly, and from the experience from our clients that at least follow the roadmap, is the results are well worth the effort. But one point that I would like to make is make sure that you use online. If you are going to sell fuel online, make sure that you use it as a tactic for growth, to be able to go out and acquire new customers. And I'm talking about hundreds of new customers, not just as a convenience for existing customers to place orders with you online. You can do that, and that's actually a valid reason for adding online sales to a website or to a business. But in our industry in particular, where we really need to add new customers in order to get growth, because gallons are going down overall, so you need to essentially steal customers from your competition. Use online specifically as a tactic for growth, and your business will perform nicely. Increasing your gallons, increasing your profitability, and so forth. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and turn this morning's webinar back to Adrian and see if we have any questions before we have closing comments. Adrian?
That's great, John. Thank you. We have an overwhelming amount of questions. Actually, it's about the same thing. Everybody's looking for a copy of your presentation.
Well, and I think Adrian, you'll send a typical email out to everyone that attended this morning.
I will, and I will offer an email out to. I will send an email out to everyone, so that if anyone has any questions and if they're looking for a copy of the presentation, they can simply ask for it. John, one of the questions is, will you be offering it in PDF format?
Yeah, certainly we can. I think that's the standard way that we save it and send it out is in PDF. So yeah, no problem at all.
Okay.
Matter of fact,
John said, go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry, Adrian. What I was going to say is that one particular slide with those metrics, and you folks were the first ones to hear some of those updated performance numbers on the heating season metrics. I'll go ahead and update that slide with some of those numbers so that you folks have that as well.
Oh, that's great. Okay. Another question is on the actual engine that you mentioned, John. If someone is interested, what was the next step?
It's a great question, and one of the things that, and one of the reasons why we provide these webinars is to share information in terms of what it means, what it takes to be successful. Because ultimately your success, if you become one of our clients, your success really is our success. So if you're interested in selling online and using our Energy Engine, we're glad to work with you. Really just two steps that typically take place, once you want to look at it. One is we'll set up a call with you. learn a little bit about what you want to accomplish, what fuels you want to sell, a little bit about your business currently, and the objectives that you might have. So we can make sure that online can in fact meet those objectives, and it's a good fit for you. And if it's not, talk with you about that, because again, we want you to be successful. We just don't want you to spend money needlessly. But assuming that that call makes sense, and after that call you continue to be interested, normally the next thing we do is we schedule a demonstration so that you can actually see the Energy Engine in action. Adrian conducts those demonstrations on a regular basis, so that you get a flavor for just the customer experience, how easy it is for the customer to use it, why they wind up coming back over and over, how the system drives loyalty, how the system automatically markets to them. I didn't mention behavioral marketing that is built into the engine, just like in Amazon. If you searched this morning on something on Amazon, probably tomorrow or Sunday you'll get a follow-up email from Amazon, maybe suggesting some other similar items to you that you might be interested in purchasing. That's called behavioral marketing. It markets back to a visitor based upon the behavior that they experience or that they exhibit on the site. And even in our cases, it's sometimes on non-behavior. So for example, if an existing customer hasn't placed an order over a particular period of time, you can have your setup done so that customer that hasn't placed that order and should have would automatically be marketed back to, even to the extent where you could offer them a promotion as part of that behavioral marketing if you want, because there's an entire promotional engine inside the Energy Engine. So anyway, a demo would typically be the next step, both what the customer sees as well as how you use the engine to be able to manage your business, what the back office looks like, which is equally fun to look at.
Okay, and another question, John, is how can we also increase our commercial fuel sales using the web?
Wow, great question. Before I try and answer that, my belief is that commercial fuel sales online represent by far the largest gallon opportunity. Although that said, at this particular point, there has been much, much less done with commercial fuel sales online than there has been with residential fuel sales. But it's really a matter of emphasis. And certainly we too ourselves, when we were operating our own online business from 2000 to 2009, we focused on the residential market, and we had some commercial customers come, but certainly we did not devote nearly as much attention to that as to commercial customers as we should have. Actually, looking back, I think that was probably a rookie mistake on our part as well. I am working with one of our clients currently. He is trying to access actually targeted e-lists for the commercial businesses within his particular market area, a variety of different types of commercial businesses, from contractors, construction locations, quarries, agricultural, greenhouses. I think, as I recall, there were like 20 different SIC codes that were he's looking to acquire for the list so that he can begin to specifically market to them. He's also doing some things with, or actually planning to do some things with social media. Social media we haven't talked about, but that's becoming larger and larger as far as marketing tactic. We have it as one of our secondary 7 at this point. But he's specifically targeting commercial. Adrian also has an active project with a couple of our clients. It's actually a work group that's actually expanding the commercial sales capability, commercial fuel sales capability of the Energy Engine to take care of some of those other unique characteristics of commercial online fuel sales, like cost plus or index plus or index minus for that matter, types of pricing for particular types of customers and so forth. But yeah, commercial sales can in fact be handled on the engine but it does require a specifically targeted marketing effort in order to be successful at that. If that didn't answer that question, if the person that asked that question, if it did not, if you just want to send something more over to Adrian, I'll try and drill down further on that, or be glad to have a conversation with you individually on that. We're pretty excited about the opportunity for commercial sales, and we're looking for some of our clients, like the work group that Adrian's working with, to devote some more attention to that, because it is such a huge, huge opportunity. If you think about it, that commercial buyer, and we're talking, we believe that the sweet spot for online commercial sales is certainly less than tanker load. Okay, it's not the tanker load buyer. That'll be done the way it is now. But it's for somebody that's buying less than tanker load. It's typically a business, some sort of a business where fuel is not their primary product, but is very important to their operations. So if it's a quarry operator that's using fuel to power equipment, or it's a greenhouse that needs fuel to keep the greenhouse warm during the winter, it's a contractor that needs diesel fuel, on road or off road, into his tanks, so he doesn't have to send the folks to a station. Whatever it is, the fuel is important to their business, but boy, it sure would make their life easier if they could order that fuel easier than they can today. So many times that process is they're calling up and saying, hey, what's your price today? Or they're getting the fax, in terms of pricing for that particular day. Their work days, those business owners or those managers are often working at times when your office may not be open. It sure would be convenient for them to be able to place an order at 7 o'clock at night when they realize that their offer of diesel tank is getting low and they need to get a delivery. So commercial, I'm getting pretty passionate about the commercial opportunity. So yeah, it's there.
Okay. This next question, John, comes kind of back over to where we were a question ago, and that's over to the Energy Engine, and they want to know about the cost.
Okay, yeah, that's an easy question. The Energy Engine itself is kind of a state-of-the-art product. So it sits on the cloud. It's web-based, which is a very good thing. So it's up to date with today's technology. What that means for you is that it's different than probably most of the other software that you use in your business today. You don't need any computers or servers or hardware in your back room that we then load the software for the Energy Engine on it. It's very easy. Essentially, all you need in your business is access to the internet in order to be able to operate your online business. The other thing about the Energy Engine, it is also called, or what's referred to as, a white-labeled product. So the Energy Engine, if you think about it this way, powers everything, makes everything happen behind the scenes. But what your customers see is what you want them to see. It's your logo, it's your look and feel, it's your pages, it's your text, it's your words, it's your information. So it looks like and can be customized uniquely for you. So the Energy Engine runs behind the scenes. So the way that this is priced is also different than software that you typically buy today. The Energy Engine you actually buy on an annual license basis. The license for the Energy Engine for one fuel module, which is the typical arrangement for most of our clients, is $5,900 a year. That's an all-inclusive price. So it includes support and maintenance, so you're not going to get another invoice for support and maintenance. It also includes, and this is also very different, is it also includes upgrades and enhancements to the software. So you don't, we're not going to come to you, a year from now and say, hey, we have a new version of the Energy Engine. It's going to cost you, $15,000 to upgrade your existing version. That doesn't happen. Matter of fact, Adrian and her team make enhancements to the engine on an ongoing basis, and as soon as those enhancements have been tested and are available, they're deployed, and all of our clients get those enhancements automated, or their customers get those enhancements if it's a customer enhancement. automatically, over one night when it's loaded onto the system. So that's one of the cool things about the engine. Cost-wise, at $5,900, and most of the clients that we have now are running heating oil on the engine. The break-even cost, if you're using the energy engine for heating oil, is actually less than 2 orders per week. So it's a very, very low break-even threshold in order to justify the investment. Matter of fact, if that question did come from a financial person, we enjoy dealing with the financial decision makers, when they're talking about adding e-commerce, because e-commerce can probably give you the best ROI for increasing the profitability of your business, the greatest ROI of virtually anything else that you can do in today's marketplace. So it's a pretty good investment. There are, I should say, I mentioned the $5,900. If you're in a more complicated situation where you have multiple locations, we have the ability to handle multiple dispatch. That adds a little bit more to it. If you're doing multiple fuels, if you're doing heating oil and propane and commercial fuels, there are 3 different modules. But we're not talking about. I think each additional module is like $1,800. So again, it's very, very affordable. In terms of being able to run a very sophisticated e-commerce business.
Okay. That appears to be the last question. So with that, I'd like to thank you, John, and thank you to all of our attendees for taking the time this morning for this webinar. You will be receiving an email, like we mentioned, from me with instructions on how to request maybe a more personalized demo, or if you have any questions, how to contact us. So with that, I'd like to thank you again, and I wish everyone a wonderful day and weekend.
Thanks for joining us this morning, everyone. Have a great day.